Story: 3 lap dancing clubs in Leeds, which were told they had to close down tomorrow night, have launched a legal fight back. The council refused to renew their licences after new policy limited the number of clubs in the city centre.
The clubs say the decision will cost hundreds of jobs and believe the council is waging a moral crusade against them. Joe Inwood reports.
Where there were 6 strip clubs, Leeds Council gave licences to just 3. It followed a consultation and review into the number of strip clubs in the city and where it was appropriate for them to be. The final decision, Red Leopard, Wildcats and Deep Blue had to close. A victory for campaigners, but for people like Laura, an uncertain Christmas.
It makes me angry, because obviously it's festive time of year and it just puts a big downer on everything. Then there's the possibility that you won't find a job before Christmas, so how are you going to afford Christmas? And obviously after Christmas, are you still going to find a job or have to go on job seekers allowance?
And Laura is not alone. Paul Gawley, who runs Wildcats on the Head Row, claims hundreds of people will lose their jobs if he loses his business. And so he's taken the council's decision to the courts.
In my opinion, this is going to be a very expensive legal battle, both for myself and for the council to defend it in the High Court and then maybe onto the High Court of Appeal. We're talking several hundred thousands of pounds for the ultimate outcome of putting a couple of hundred people out of work in Leeds 2 weeks before Christmas, based on, in my opinion, moral viewpoints of a select number of the committee.
As it stands, Wildcats is one of 6 clubs in Leeds. Under the council's plans, 3 would close. That'd mean 2/3 of the city's strip clubs are on one small street. And this is it. York Place, a mainly residential street, with 2 strip clubs within about 20 yards of each other. Both of them are staying open. And for the people that live and work in the area, the concentration in one small street seems unfair.
We've been left with 2/3 of the remaining strip clubs. We're a residential area. We also have respectable businesses, and we don't want to be seen as being incorporated within the strip club quarter.
But in the past hour, everything appears less certain. A judge has said at least one club, Deep Blue, can stay open while it appeals. With 2 more decisions expected shortly, a legal battle now looms that could prove costly both for the clubs and the council. Joe Inwood, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Well, we're joined now by Alison Lowe, a Leeds councillor who's been campaigning for these nightclubs to close, and James Teagle from Black Solicitors in Leeds. Councillor Lowe, if I can come to you first, Is this a moral crusade by a group of councillors?
I don't think so. I think it's about business, it's about Leeds being a child-friendly city, and it's about generating new businesses that hopefully will replace the jobs that are going to be lost this week.
But if you talk about children, for example, in the daytime, you're talking about buildings with sensitive uses. I know that was one of the reasons for closing those 3 clubs. After 10 o'clock at night, there aren't many children around.
No, but there are lots of workers in the city centre, people work in the hospital, lots of women walking in the streets, and they deserve to both be safe and feel safe.
But we just saw there that you're going to be moving the main traffic that would go to those clubs to one very small residential street, York Place.
The council's not moving anything. Those businesses are existing businesses.
Yeah, but the traffic that would go there, the customers, are then going to be going to this one small street, York Place. Sure, it's better to have them in a more central thoroughfare.
Well, I don't agree with that, because if you have them in a more central thoroughfare, then clearly more people are faced with those businesses as they're going about their lawful business. And from my perspective, I think it's better to have fewer than more, and that's what Leeds City Council has agreed to do, and I agree.
Now, the people who are going to benefit from this are the lawyers, solicitors and barristers and so on, Jane. This will cost a fortune, won't it?
I wouldn't say they're necessarily going to benefit from this, because ultimately what should happen is that there should be a fairly quick decision made in early course from the courts. Let's go back to basics. If you're on the receiving end of a decision made by a local authority and you feel that you've been prejudiced, then you can apply to the High Court for a review of that decision. But
you're talking about hundreds of thousands of pounds, are we?
I don't think it will be that much. I mean, what we do have to remember, though, is that there are 3 clubs that are affected by this. They are each going to have their own teams of legal advisors, and the council will have to fight it from 3 angles.
And do they have a good case? Because if it goes to a judicial review, that suggests that they do, does it?
Well, there's a first step before we get that far. And the good news is that the court has a filtering system to get rid of those cases which have absolutely no merit whatsoever. So they will be kicked back very quickly. If, however, the court feels that there is potentially something in the claim, then the court will be quite happy to look at the matter in greater detail to work out whether or not the council has followed the correct procedures.
Alison, has this got anything to do with Tour de France coming to Leeds next summer?
Well, clearly 3.5 billion people will be viewing the Tour de France on TV, covering 188 countries, and we don't want Leeds to be shown in anything but the very, very best light. We are a fabulous city, child-friendly, as I've already said. We want everyone to come here, invest here, and I think this is one step closer to being the best city that we can possibly be.
We'll just leave it there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, you've had a lot to say on our Facebook page about this story. The vast majority of comments were in favour of the club staying open. Matthew Wells thinks the council is applying a moral judgment on something legal. He hopes the courts see sense.
Yes, Lisa Rydell says they employ people. That has to be a good thing. They're legal, they pay taxes, so how can it be shut down? It's appalling.
Next tonight, Leeds' biggest travellers